Like nothing you've ever seen before. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Friday Night Chaos. I am your intrepid host, the mighty Yellkaos. Good evening and welcome, everybody. Before we get too far along, I want to make sure that you know, down below you'll find all the information to contact me as far as finding me on the social media, on your Facebook, on the Twitter, on the MiiVerse, and all that sort of thing. And also, hanging beside me, my very good friend, Sean Geef Riley. Sean, say hello to the people.
Hello to the people.
Thank you very much. We got a great show for you today. We're going to do our very best. Hopefully, we're going to fill in some time on your otherwise empty Friday. So, and we'll get right to that. But before we get too far along, before I do any more of the shameless plugging, folks, we got to talk about something. This amiibo thing has gotten out of hand. I don't know where to begin. I really don't. So I'm just going to go from where I know it and what really brings this up. For those who keep track of the dailies around here and actually give a shit about all the stupid shit that passes through Kotaku and IGN and all that stuff, you'll know that there was an article a little bit earlier, yesterday, I believe, about a truckload of a shipment of amiibo and special edition Splatoon for Wii U being shipped to Game in the UK was hijacked and stolen on the way to its destination. And now I would like to associate this with, well, just another building, or another building, what am I talking about? Just another shipment being hijacked and stolen for one reason or another, because let's face it, it's the UK and that's kind of what they're known for. But at the same time, this strikes me as, really, is there enough money on eBay to be made to really justify this sort of thing? And which is what leads me to say in front of all you people, this has gotten out of hand. I cannot believe, and what's interesting is we now have, I was shocked. I was shocked some time ago when it was made clear to me that there are genres of video and types of channels right here on YouTube dedicated specifically to people jumping in dumpsters and trash cans to find video game related trash. But now we have an entire community specifically dedicated to scrounging through retail stores to find little bitty Marios. And it's interesting that, I don't know how to feel about this because I feel like I'm making two different points at once. Number one, you people have lost your fucking minds.
What do you mean, you people?
What do you mean, you people?
What do you mean, you people?
I mean that, sorry, we're having a little camera difficulty there. I mean that.
Smack the shit out of it.
There was a bug, and I said I'm not about to have a bug on my camera. So, the humanitarian.
Yellkaos. No, nice guy.
But one thing that I guess I'm saying two things really is that this is beyond obsession, and I'm only following this passively. But there seems to be all kinds of activity going on your side, Mr. Riley.
What?
There's all kinds of noise going on over there. What are you watching? Are you watching Sweet Valley High School again?
No, there's people in the other room.
Damn people.
Damn.
A lot of nerve they have when you're on the program here. Well, damn people.
They don't give a shit. They don't watch this.
They must be young people then. But anyway, but I feel like I'm making two separate points. That's really loud, Mr. Riley.
Is it really?
Yeah,
I don't even hear them.
I can barely hear myself think, and I think really loudly. Everyone knows that.
Let me turn down my mic. Sorry.
I appreciate it, but no big deal. But one thing I feel like I've got 2 points. Number one, this is beyond obsession. And number two, and I hate to say this, but the absolute stone cold fact of the matter, Nintendo of America is dropping the ball. There's all these special editions being released of Amiibo, yet they never make it to the stores. They're bought up on Amazon and eBay long before they ever get to you, the consumers. And also, this video is coming to you in late May. For those of you that are going to watch this in a rerun, this is coming to you in late May, and I have been waiting since Christmas to get my GameCube 4-way splitter to play with a GameCube controller on the Wii U, to play Super Smash Brothers on the Wii U. We are 6 months out, and these things have still not been made available. So I think that further supports my theory, but Nintendo of America is dropping the ball, and this saddens me. For a company that has gotten steadfastly better in recent years on how to tell you about products, they have no idea how to get them to you. And this is a serious problem. There are other serious problems, but I'm talking about for them. There are bigger things that you should really be concerned about, but you came here for entertainment. you come here for entertainment and you get rage, and you will go home happy. So that's a good thing. But yeah, this amiibo thing is out of hand. But that all being said, there's one thing that you have to understand is that there is humor in everything. So the longer this goes on, the funnier it gets. I want that to be known and to be clear. So I just thought I'd get that off my chest. And welcome to Friday Night Chaos, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends of the Playhouse, and all you fabulous people. Welcome. I want to remind you that over there in the comment box down there, big conversation going on. So please feel free to get involved in the conversation. We'll be taking your questions, your comments, your concerns in just a minute. And I hope that everyone's having a fabulous Friday night. So I'm going to have a sip right here. And while Mr. Riley gets himself sorted out, I'm going to have a sip right here and see what we got for going on in the comment section. Like I said, always great questions in the comment section. And for those of you listening to just the audio, I'm going to drink whenever I'm reading. That way, if you hear the clinking of the ice, you know that good work is being done. There's let me see here. Everybody's mad. I guess I dropped a bomb just then, and everyone's all mad at the amiibos. I didn't mean to suggest that they were a bad thing. I just meant to suggest that this is not healthy. That's really what it is. But everybody just getting mad about that in there. Oh well. Anyway, I just thought I'd bring that to my attention. If I didn't mention it already, though, I also want to remind everybody to check out all the contact information down below. And I don't know if the contact information is for Mr. Riley, but you can find him on Twitter at PlayStation. So please check that out. And if your questions aren't getting through in the comment section, don't forget, you can shoot me a line over on my Facebook. You'll find all that stuff down below, and I'll get to it as soon as I possibly can. I promise. Boston Burf wants to know if I have any thoughts on. I can't wait for Mr. Riley to come back because he was bitching in my ear last night about this. Actually, not so much in my ear, but in text messages. This is text message. This is computer. This is text messages. And what do I think about that? Well, first and foremost, that's not good. That's not good. I'll say that up front and out loud. That's not good. Especially for all the adopters of the PlayStation Vita. I understand that when they say, and this is the way I understand it, referring to it as a legacy platform, they plan to, there's a possibility, and more than likely they will continue to sell hardware units. Whether they'll produce anymore, I don't know. But they don't plan to publish software for it, and that kind of sort of defeats what they're doing. But in my estimation, they're doing everything that they've been doing for the last few years with the Vita, which is nothing. I know that there are games being produced for the Vita, and it's almost like they're trying to keep it a secret. I don't feel bad for the people who have the PlayStation Vita because apparently they've got a lot of fucking money lying around. See, there I go with the bad language. I was trying to make this a family program, but Friday nights. Mr. Riley, now I want to get your opinion on this. What are your feelings about talk of the Sony PS Vita being now a legacy platform?
They still make those?
They do.
I never had a Vita because I bought a 3DS. Just like most everybody else, which is why, I think that it was kind of the ideas that Sony had when they originally put the Vita out with the touchscreen, the touchpad on the back or whatever. I thought, okay, that could be a cool thing, but that's kind of awkward if you think about it. Like I said, I never had one, but your touch controls on the back when you're holding a thing like this. I mean, I don't fucking get it. I don't care.
Well, for me, it was. And I told this story on this program before, but I think I'll tell it again. It's myself and Return to Mother Base. We've kind of gone back and forth about this. And we've kind of deduced, or at least we tried our best to deduce what was really the intentions here. And I think what the intention was, and you can see it in the initial marketing and some of the preceding marketing, is that it was an attempt to bring console gaming to the palm of your hand. So you could take your console games wherever you go. I don't think they were really clear on the fact that console gamers and handheld gamers is not the same group of people.
No, they're not.
And you'd agree on that, wouldn't you? Because you being a handheld enthusiast, right, Mr. Riley?
Yes, sir.
And and that's interesting because while there are and that's the thing. Not to say that there aren't people who would love to have their console games on the go. Absolutely, there are those people. But if you notice, and the primary bitch, and you know this, all you folks out there, you've talked to people like this. They cannot stand the idea of playing their games on a small screen. So they kind of went for this strange crossover demographic, which is really good if you're somebody like Atlas, who knows how to appeal to a small to small, medium-sized group of people. This was, you can see from the basic marketing and how much this damn thing cost. They were shooting for the moon over, a group of people that was not that big. I didn't mean to make a zero, but not a very large group of people. And I think when it comes to console space, you need to shoot for the moon. You need to be, and if you notice with the way that Sony's done business over the years, much to, I'm sure, the dismay of their shareholders, is that almost everything they do, much like World Championship Wrestling, as a matter of fact, they need to be number one. Otherwise, they don't make a freaking dime.
It's true.
And that's a real shame. But I don't feel bad for the PlayStation Vita owners. In fact, some people, and I'm not going to name names, put up videos in the recent history about reasons to buy a PlayStation Vita or when to buy a PlayStation Vita. So for all of you holding out for the PlayStation Vita like me, I'm sure prices will be bottoming out very soon, and you'll be able to get one for like $1. So that'll be a good thing. But I think
go to GameStop and you can get a brand new PSP for like $60 or something.
But it will smell like balls.
No, brand new.
Brand new. Oh, okay.
Brand new balls.
And if you get the God of War edition, like brand new balls, just like brand new balls.
And if you get the God of War edition, it'll smell like Kratos balls. So, I mean, if you're into that kind of thing, whatever.
See, that would definitely be a worthwhile purchase, at least for somebody. That's what I think, anyway. But it's soon is going to be a time where you can pick them up for real cheap. I swear to you. And there's already and what I find so interesting about this is there's already. I don't know how to really stress this, but if you look at least from my perspective, and I don't know if I'm part of a minority, but it seems like, and I've seen the software library for the PlayStation Vita. It's not a bad lineup. It's a whole lot of strategy games. It's a whole lot of RPG type games. And it's, nothing that would really set the world on fire and make me want to spend $250 or however much on this piece of equipment. But if they were to stop production right now, you've got yourself a pretty healthy software library. And I don't know what you could really ask for at this point in history.
Yeah, I think that it's perfect for Japanese gamers because they're about the, strategy games and the RPGs and, I just don't think it worked well in North America. It's a problem. Well, I don't think the crossplay thing was cool, but I just don't think it was executed correctly. And what I'm not really well versed, so I'm sure I'm going to say something, and somebody in the chat's going to correct me. But I think the only crossplay games that they had were the sports games, like the MLB The Show and the whatever else they had on there. And so several people in the chat have said too that those fucking memory cards, which was one of the issues with the PSP also. You could only use Sony memory sticks. And those fucking 1 gig Sony memory sticks are still, even for the fucking PSP, a 1 gig memory stick is fucking $20. So if I mod my PSP, I have 2 PSPs. Both are modded. Both have 1 gig cards on them. One I will throw one single PS1 game on and play a PS1 game on it. The other one has a bunch of emulators, Super Nintendo, shit like that. I don't fucking care. Neither of my PSP's UMD drives work.
Really? In terms of they just don't move at all?
They just don't work.
That's I've only heard that a handful of times. When people talk about the PlayStation Vita, they commonly tell me that their UMD drive still works, but it ruined all of their games.
The PSP or the Vita?
The PSP.
Okay.
Okay, I have a PSP.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I say, are you taking shots?
That is a shot.
How many have you had?
That one.
Okay, I say it's party time over at Mr. Riley's house.
You want one? Look.
What do you got? What do you got there?
You
got some liquid candy over there. You got your
you
got the Fireball. This program is not sponsored in any way by Fireball Cinnamon Whiskey, which, as I like to call it, is liquid red gummy bear.
No, but if they are watching, they can send me some. You can go to my website and you can fucking my contact info is there. I'll give you the address. You can send bombs. I'm not giving any you fuckers my address. So
I don't give them my address either, because I wouldn't be surprised if I would get sent bombs or something like that. But then they'd think I'm part of ISIS. Which I'm not.
I'd probably just no, but if I gave out my address, I'd get laughed at because I live in a fucking shithole.
Oh well, it could be worse. You could live in like New Orleans or something like that. But anyway, back to bad mouthing people who deserve it, not necessarily New Orleans. Yeah, and that I've heard that complaint too about the memory cards. The memory cards are just absolutely outlandish. And how much, Mr. Riley? I kind of spaced there. How much is the 1 gig for the Vita? You said
the Vita or the?
They start at 4 gigs, don't they?
Well, the PSP ones were $20. They still are $20. The 1 gig memory sticks.
Wow.
You know what? We have this thing called Google. I can find out how much they are right now.
Yeah, but they're the ones who are screwing up this show in the first place. Would you really trust them?
I'm still gonna look. I use Bing. Don't worry about it.
Okay, well, look that up for me, because that's something interesting. And what's funny is I thought that's something that they would have rectified, but Sony, you know, who they have done this before. They've just sat with their, you know, a handful of fingers crammed up their ass.
4 gig cards are $20 at Target
for the PlayStation Vita.
Yeah, 16 are $40 at a well-known video game retailer. This shall remain nameless.
Well, we appreciate that.
Big on some on PlayAsia. Yeah, so it's fucking ridiculous.
Absolutely. When you consider that, you know, a 16 gig flash drive, they give you free when you go to any grocery store. In fact, you go to an office supply store to get a flash drive, they give you money.
They give you money.
You know, and Sony expects us to believe that these are precious commodities. They said the same thing about Betamax and Blu-ray, and we saw how well that worked out.
Betamax and Blu-ray?
And among others, and that's not the only form, and VHS-C.
Or what about HD DVD?
Oh, that wasn't Sony, so we can't blame them for that. That was, I don't know who was behind that technology, but it wasn't very good.
Microsoft.
Well, I know Microsoft doesn't create things. Microsoft stamps their name on other people's things, like just like Suzuki.
Well, they got behind it. That was the problem.
Well, yeah, but you know, they obviously have no fear of sullying their name. You know, 'cause don't forget, they convinced a whole bunch of people that to install surveillance devices in their house.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, we could talk
clever name.
There's Shadow Choso wants to talk about E3. Thoughts on E3 2015 for the Big Three? Big Three meaning, I guess, Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony. I guess we can talk about that for just a minute.
We're not about Square Enix.
I thought we said big.
Oh, it's true.
Square Enix is only big on one thing: negative equity.
Negative equity.
So, you know, I mean, it's a large number. It just has a big minus next to it, and it's in red. But you know, that's
it is.
But hey, whatever. The fact remains that we, you know, the E3 2015 is steadily approaching, quickly approaching, and I really hope that this. And I've talked about this in some detail over the last year. That last year was a chance for everyone to learn that having nothing to show is the same thing as not showing it at all. You know, so many people might as well have not shown up at all and just sent a video on YouTube, and they would have saved, you know, close to $1 million, I'm sure.
Yeah, like Nintendo did. Nintendo didn't have a conference last year. They're not having a conference again. They're doing a fucking Nintendo Direct.
Yeah. In fact, we're getting a. This will be the hat trick of Nintendo Direct conferences, and I am not an investor in Nintendo Company Limited or Nintendo of America, but nothing makes more money sense, especially in the internet age, where we have on this planet bands who have managed to expose themselves without ever playing a live show. That is the power of the internet. How the video game sector, who claims to be the end-all be-all of electronic entertainment, has not figured this out yet, I don't know. Not that I'm against, I'm always appreciative of the fact that E3, we get to have a free show every year. But as I've talked about, it's just like WrestleMania. It's kind of up in the air up until the very last minute. So, we'll see.
You can get that for $9.99. Sorry.
Well, E3 we get for free. It costs them money. But, that's the one positive of the whole thing. But
I just think that it's perfect doing the... Nintendo just doing a Direct, and it's their conference. And anybody who's seen a Nintendo Direct knows that it probably cost them $30 to fucking produce. You got fucking Iwata standing in front
on
of
a
a green
white screen.
Yeah, telling about we're gonna bring it directly to you. And then he does his spiel. Then they'll have the thing from the fucking treehouse, or whatever the fuck they're calling it this year. And, it's two guys sitting talking. They're going to have fucking Miyamoto. They're going to talk about Zelda. So it's not... They are saving more money. I didn't they, go, super extravagant on their fucking booth last year, too, though? Didn't they have, a crazy number of... Well, they had a bunch of Wii U set up there, and then they also had they had shit with Best Buy last year, didn't they?
They did.
This
is the third, possibly fourth year. I think this is the third year of them partnering with Best Buy to do something like this. And yet last year they came out big with big representation of Splatoon, a game that wasn't even done, and kind of stole the show, at least in my estimation.
But look that game came out today, and look fucking hype. They showed it a year ago. Almost exactly a year ago, and this fucking hype was still behind it. People still got it. It's not like, everybody bitches about Zelda and they're fucking delaying it, whatever. I'd rather have a delayed game than a rushed shitty game. So everybody that has been bitching, all the Zelda fanboys that have been bitching about, I want the new Zelda, they're probably still gonna freaking flip their shit when they don't like the fucking lighting when you turn and face the sun on the fucking mountain with the horse or whatever, they're going to fucking bitch about. But I'd rather they're saving money, and it's better for them.
Absolutely. And it will overall contribute to, if they set a good example, will contribute to a healthier industry, really, because it seems like so much of the last however many years has been a bunch of Japanese businessmen pouring champagne on themselves and bitches while not selling any fucking video games. And that just seems to be, kind of the opposite of what we're trying to do, completely counterintuitive to what they claim that they're trying to achieve. So anyway, moving away from that, we're going to talk about that plenty in the coming weeks. So let's not overrun the program here with all that sort of stuff.
I just want to throw in before we get away from E3. I'm kind of excited to see what Bethesda has to offer. Hopefully it's fucking Fallout 4. Nobody gives a shit about Half-Life anymore. Half-Life 3 is not happening. Somebody in the comments said something about Half-Life 3. That's never going to happen. I don't give a shit about Final Fantasy 7 HD. I'm getting tired of fucking HD remasters. So I'm excited for Bethesda, and I'm excited to see what Square Enix has to offer. I'm sure. I don't know. We'll see. I want to see more of more Final Fantasy 15. I want those guys to get out of that goddamn car. So.
Well, there you go, and that's our thoughts. Just the preliminary thoughts on E3 2015. But as I said, approaching
Doom. Sorry, Power Metal Gamer. Doom. I forgot about Doom.
And Doom. So yeah, lots more of that coming up very soon. Don't forget, we got Pissing in the live stream June the 5th. So I hope to see everybody there, and also the E3 damage report, which will be during E3 week. Hopefully Wednesday. Hopefully we'll be able to get it on Wednesday. So it'll be hot off the presses, and you'll probably already be sick of it, but that's all right. That's the way it's going to be.
Yeah, IGN will fuck that up.
Yeah, but it's our job to rectify those things. It's okay. They're good at that sort of thing.
That's their job, though. That's what they do.
That's what they do.
What they do.
But breaking away from that, let's do something a little bit different here. We've been asked quite theory on or thoughts on the Elimination Chamber for WWF coming up on Sunday. I forgot. If you guys don't know, Mr. Riley and myself, we tend to watch the WWF pay-per-views when we can together, either together or separate, and bitch and complain back and forth. And it's because we've been watching the WWF network together for some time now, and it seems like every month these things seem less and less special.
Well, they rushed this one too.
Well, what do you mean?
They rushed this one. Well, it's an in-between. There was a pay-per-view 2 weeks ago. So they're putting this one out. That's why my fucking TV was off for a while.
It was a bit raw.
Yeah, the next one's what's the fucking next one? Payback? I don't even fucking know anymore.
We just had Payback, didn't I? I don't know.
But Payback, Elimination Chamber, whatever the next one is. I think they should have. I think that because Elimination Chamber is usually before WrestleMania, correct?
I thought that was Money in the Bank. That's usually before.
No, whatever. Anyway, because they had Fastlane. Mm-hmm. Whatever. So they're rushing this so that they can set up storylines for the next one, which is fucking stupid. They're just gonna put the Shield back together. Fucking the Authority's gonna screw Rollins. I'm sorry. Am I taking your thunder? Am I stealing what you were gonna say?
No, not at all.
The Authority's gonna screw Rollins. Rollins gonna realize that he fucked up. They're gonna put those three dudes back together. Because if they don't, then fucking Roman Reigns is gonna fall off fucking into obscurity with his wooden fucking promos.
But really, you think about this, can they really afford that? Because what they're about to do is take their entire 3 singles that are the main event picture and turn them into a mediocre tag team again. A tag team that is ineligible to win the tag belts.
But they split. Talk to New Day.
Well,
talk to New Day. 3 guys can't have.
That's what I wonder. Is that what we're gonna do? Are we gonna reinstate the Freebird rule? Or for you old-fashioned WWF fights, the demolition rule?
Oh, what? Axe Smash and Crush?
Axe Smash and Crush at one point did defend the tag belts.
I don't know what they're gonna do. Look, they haven't been doing very well. WWE, that is. They've been making horrible storyline decisions lately. They broke up the Shield when they were pretty much at the height of their popularity, and I don't think it was a smart idea. My opinion.
Well, you say at the height, but you also have to realize that the apex is also the highest point at which you can completely make a free fall from. So,
well, they did when they broke them up. They all fucking.
I just think that the lesson was not learned, that it doesn't breaking up a hot tag team, similar to years and years ago when the Rockers, Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels, got broken up. It didn't do really anything for anybody. Marty Jannetty kind of just got flushed down the toilet over the next year or so, and Shawn Michaels went on to be champion, the lowest grossing champion in Federation history.
Actually, Marty Jannetty went through a window, not down the toilet.
Okay, all right. Well, he went from a barber's chair through a window.
Through a window.
I'm sorry, that's my fault. Yeah. But and Shawn Michaels, really, I mean, Shawn Michaels was a great draw provided you put him against somebody who could actually draw. So And I don't think they really learned that lesson here. And now I'm already bored because I realize, because Alpha Omegason explained this to me. I'm like, I don't get the Shield. What's the Shield? And he says, they're little bitty big boss men.
Yeah.
And suddenly I was like,
Yeah.
oh, so, and then I looked at Reigns and I'm like, that must be what Bull Buchanan would look like if he got left in a tanning, if he got stuck in a tanning bed where he couldn't reach his steroids. That's what.
God damn it.
All right. But I think I just uncovered it. I think the Shield is going to get back together, and then they're going to be the enforcers of the Authority because these fuckers can't write anything. They couldn't even write a loser leaves town angle. The Authority left and then never fucking left.
Yeah. How'd that go?
They can't even get that right. Like even Ric Flair knew when it was time to get the fuck out of town.
Yeah.
In fact, that's something I was thinking about. You want to take a journey really quick with me? We're going to take a total aside right now because while we're talking about wrestling, I was thinking about this because I was reading a little bit. Are you familiar with Ole Anderson from the Four Horsemen?
No.
No? Okay. Well, he and Arn Anderson were the Minnesota Wrecking Crew way back when in World Class Championship Wrestling and all that stuff, and Mid-South. And Mid-Atlantic or Georgia Championship Wrestling, which would later become World Championship Wrestling. I read a bit of Ole's book, and he talked about his dislike of, and a lot of people, a couple of the reviews talked about, his dislike for Michael Hayes and Ric Flair and Lex Luger and Eric Bischoff. And of course, I was immediately intrigued because let's be honest, fuck Michael Hayes, fuck Lex Luger, fuck Ric Flair, and double fuck Eric Bischoff. So, I knew that he must have been on the right track. And he wrote in his book called Inside Out, which is a great read. I'm just giving you sort of the cliff notes of it. But basically having a discussion about, or at least his feelings about Ric Flair being paid a guaranteed $750,000 a year to be the World Championship Wrestling champion, despite the fact that they drew nothing. Nothing. When you think $750,000 a year, when in fact, I don't think they drew that kind of money in house shows. Wow. So, and he was paying that kind of guaranteed money. And Ole really brought to light the ridiculousness, the concept of wrestlers being paid guaranteed contracts and so on and so forth. But then he began to talk about Ric Flair. And I started to think about this. And I said, where would that have come from? Because Ric Flair is a good wrestler. Ric Flair might even be in the bottom rung of great wrestlers. I think that there are far more influential wrestlers who came before him, like Stanislaus Zbyszko, George Hackenschmidt, Wilbur Snyder, Buddy Rogers, Buddy Roberts, guys like that. And I thought, I ran the scenario through in my head, and I thought to myself, what it must have been was somebody saw Hulk Hogan. Because I've always said that everyone thinks that Hulk Hogan put wrestling on the map. It's like, no, the Iron Sheik laid down so Hulk Hogan could put wrestling on the map. Hulkamania was given to you by the Iron Sheik. Make no mistake about that. But the concept of an overpaid professional wrestling champion was brought to us by Hulk Hogan. So a lot of people like to give Ric Flair's credit for being the greatest world champion of all time, when in fact, what you're really attached to is blonde hair and a feathered boa with really brightly colored robes. So that's something that, and you can disagree with me if you think I'm wrong, but I feel that yes, the Iron Sheik created Hulkamania, and Hulk Hogan helped create the legend that is the Nature Boy Ric Flair. Because while he drew money, he didn't become a megastar until he was unfairly compared to Hulk Hogan. Because Hulk Hogan and the World Wrestling Federation were actually drawing money. WCW drew money for like 2 fucking years out of 17. Mm-hmm. And you can feel about that how you want to feel about that.
And it was all down south.
And it was all down south. When they came up north, didn't work out that way.
Yeah, so they were still a fucking territory.
Yeah, they were a little podunk, as Kevin Nash said when he went to WCW, I went from the New York Yankees to the Toledo Mud Hens. They might have a bunch of fucking money, but the power ends there. So that was just my feeling. That's something I thought about while I was getting ready for the show today, is that, Ric Flair owes a lot to the bullshit that surrounds Hulkamania, because I do not think that he would be the megastar You know, he would be known. People would remember him, but he wouldn't be the megastar. He would have been like Ivan Putski. Everybody remembers Ivan Putski, but no one paid money to see Ivan Putski. But Ivan Putski was there, and you clap for him anyway. That's right, the Polish power. But you know, those are my feelings. I just wanted to get that out there, and
that was good.
Yeah, I thought so. I just wanted to get that out there because now we have people talk about the Iron Sheik and Bruno Sammartino. Well, Bruno was old by the time Sheik came on board, so that's another discussion for another time. But right. Mr. Riley, did I miss any questions over in the?
I don't think so.
Okay, because everyone's bad mouthing Hulk Hogan and John Cena right now, so I'm glad I didn't miss anything.
They both fucking sucked. So.
Yeah. And Nicholas Kennedy wants to know how I feel about the band Violence. Mr. Riley, you familiar with Violence from San Francisco?
No, I know about Violence, but not the band.
Well, yeah, because you live in California. You must know about Violence.
Yes, I do.
But Violence from San Francisco, I think Violence was a good band, and they never got over because their songs weren't that great. Just like Defiance before them. So those are my feelings. I hate to shoot that down. And Kashira Online wants to know, can The Rock even cook? Maybe he can.
I don't know. Why don't you ask him?
I don't know. I mean, because I never smelled what he was cooking. Because I was always like on the other side of the country while he was cooking something. So
pancakes.
Oh, and there's talk about Axel Mania. While we're on the wrestling thing, right now, Mr. Riley, I want to ask you: have you seen Axel Mania and Macho Man Dow?
Yes, and well, unfortunately, yes.
What are your thoughts?
Stop it.
That's funny because I appreciate your candor.
Look, I get it. It's cool, but stop it. I don't know what the fuck they're doing with Sandow. They bring him in. He has this little fucking. He was the genius for those of you old enough to remember. That's what he reminds me of. Was the genius, and then he wins Money in the Bank. Why? They didn't do anything with it. He just fucking lost. Did they have him win Money in the Bank so he could lose, so that Cena wasn't the only one that lost his shot with Money in the Bank?
Well, the way I like to plug it, and people bitch and complain about this to me, like I can fucking do something about it. But the way I like to put it for some people is you have to understand that's the way the business goes. If Dolph Ziggler is Coco Beware, then Damian Sandow is Tito Santana. You know, really talented guy, but some people, it's just their job to lose. But the fact remains, and I was talking to Mrs. Yellkaos about this, because I've developed this habit that something that it actually makes me smile and makes me happy, is I now, as an adult, I again watch WWF Superstars every Saturday morning because it's on the network now. Not the old ones, the new ones. I watch every because it comes out on Fridays, but I usually don't watch till Saturday because it's more special on Saturday. And when I watch it on Saturday, I had never seen this before. The Axel Mania. Well, no, I seen them on that the most recent pay-per-view, and I didn't get it. But the longer they've been doing it, it's kind of funny because it shows, number one, that the WWF writers are listening. They are watching what you people say in the comment section. They're not really fucking doing anything about it. It almost seems like they're teasing people because they've got two really talented wrestlers, and this is what they're doing with them. But secondarily, it's kind of funny. I mean, because if I've always said that if your wrestling can't be good, at least make it entertaining. And they haven't been doing a lot of that. But at least it's entertaining. And at least Damian Sandow is doing something, God damn it. That's, that's in the words of Sainted Magnus, this is doing something, God damn it. That's what Sainted Magnus would say. And then he'd fall down drunk and get varnish in his hair. But, that was just him. But are you really against it, Mr. Riley?
I just figure
out. You don't get it? You don't think it's clever?
No, I don't. I get it. I just think it's dumb. Figure out something for those two guys to do and let them do it. Why do you have to fucking keep? I mean, I love 80s.
Well, let me cut you off for a second. At the very least, it's better than fake Diesel and fake Razor Ramon. At the very least,
I agree. But do you really think they would do that? That's what they would do? They do the insiders instead of the outsiders and fucking.
Well, no, what I mean is, they're capitalizing on properties they already own. And
Right.
the fact remains, and that was what was so confusing about fake Diesel and fake Razor Ramon is suddenly they could work. Like, wait a minute. Those aren't the same guys. Those guys can wrestle. And that's the thing. At least they're using guys that can wrestle. They're using it to kind of subtly poke fun at wrestling, you know?
Yeah.
And I think the best thing was that they beat Axel Rose. Or not Axel Rose, the Rose guy, Adam Rose. Axel Rose, what am I talking about? They beat Adam Rose, and fuck that guy. So, but anyway, please go on. Please further your assumption or what you were saying.
I just figure something out for these guys to do and let them do it. I mean, the Axel's thing when they first brought him in was he was a Henning, so they kind of merged that in there. Sandow, I think Sandow has potential. I think they have potential to be. I mean, I don't think they have potential to be like main eventers, but at least main card, middle of the card draw. So figure out a thing to do with them. I think maybe part of the issue is, like you were talking about the guaranteed money earlier, with all the fucking money that they're paying the wrestlers. Did that take away from fucking creative? Because who's writing? Is Vince writing? Because that could be the fucking
no. I think Vince has very little to do with that. I know that Vince still has quite a bit to do with the day-to-day, but I don't think he's involved with booking and writing. I don't think he has that kind of time. Plus, Vince is also in his 70s now, I think.
Well, it would explain it, though, right? He's a 70-year-old fucking busy guy. Let's just go do this thing. Spending all their money on talent and teleprompters.
Well, that exactly shows. I don't think Vince has time to write at least one page for a goddamn teleprompter. You know, that shit takes time. And what's funny is a lot of people are still under the assumption that promos and shit like that are improvised, like they're off the cuff and spontaneous. They're not. And that's the problem. Anything that's written that far in advance and that, you know, that heavily scripted and it still sucks.
Yeah. Well, if the person delivering it isn't good at doing it, then it's gonna fucking suck.
Well, like yesterday, you brought to my attention about Roman Reigns and that awestruck, doe-eyed look that he has, and I think, and that's when I told you that Roman Reigns. I've seen Teddy Ruxpin's cut more stronger promos than that.
Yeah, the Teddy Ruxpin's with dead batteries.
Yeah,
so that's fucking Black Sabbath tapes.
Yeah. So it makes me wonder if Roman Reigns with the blue eyes, is that his low battery indicator? That's just what I wonder.
I think so. It might be.
But Reaper Shadow jumping in wants to know my favorite movie. My favorite movie was directed by a man named Tim Burton, and it was called Beetlejuice.
Okay, that's a good one.
That one I gush about that all the time. How have you not heard that? You must be new. Because we're all getting kinds of new people here on the channel. I never know.
Who's the guy that's fucking looking at all this shit behind me? Who the fuck is it? Like,
I don't know.
I got fucking, it's what the fuck? I missed it. Oh, Lupicio or Silo. I don't know how the fuck to say your name. But he's like, 55 people are looking at your personal belongings in your house. I don't fucking care. If I cared, Lupicio, I would have fucking moved the shit.
And if he cared, he would have got rid of that Yankees cap.
Fuck off. Yes, that is Candyman on VHS right here.
On VHS. Yeah, you've got it all on VHS.
Yeah. I got this one. And speaking of favorite movies, this is in my top 10. This one right here. That one. Big Trouble in Little China.
That's a good one.
It is a good one. And fucking there's Candyman. It's a movie.
Oh, and there's talk about Kevin Owens, or as you people who know from independent or outlaw professional wrestling, Kevin Steen. Kevin Steen is one of the most overrated. He's almost as overrated and overblown as Ric Flair. I am of that mind. He's, he goes pretty good for being a big fat fuck. How he hasn't dropped dead in the middle of a ring in front of, 350 people in a rec center, I don't know. But what's funny is, you know, so many I've heard people talk about how they tried to slim that kid down. So what are they doing? Oh, fuck this fat fuck. Because he looks like a shirt stretched over a fucking Tootsie Pop. There's this big round thing right in the middle. And they think they're fucking fooling people by dressing him in black. They're not. I don't know who they think they're fooling. It's insane. But yeah, that kid is fucking useless. Of all the people on NXT, they gave him the belt.
Yeah, that's probably the most accurate description of him I've ever heard.
A Tootsie Pop with a wetsuit on?
Yes.
There you go. And a flat top hairdo. I don't get it. I don't see it. Similar to, I felt the same way about Daniel Bryan and CM Punk. It's like, these guys are not living up to this fucking hype. So it leads me to believe that you guys believe all that shit you read on the internet. Don't.
Don't.
There was talk about black and white program.
Favorite black and white movie? I see a lot of people.
See, because you didn't realize like half of cinematic history is in black and white, so that's not
Ed
really
Wood.
fair.
Does that count?
Well, are you going to bring up Monsters Ball too?
I could.
No, I
Clerks?
You could. Don't get me wrong. I liked Ed Wood, but
no bullshit. When we're talking black and white movies, Clerks is up there. I love that movie.
It's just unfortunate because I don't believe, and I don't want to discount the question. I don't want to make it seem like that's a stupid question, but you have to realize like half of cinematic history is in black and white.
Yeah, it's hard to.
It's hard to break it down.
Give us some more of a. How do you say? Like, give us a decade,
or a more concise genre. Because if I were to say anything, you got to go with I Love Lucy and the Dick Van Dyke Show right off the cuff.
We talking TV shows or movies?
Well, either way, that's what I mean.
That's true.
You know, because then you could talk about the Stooges. Holy shit, the Stooges.
Yeah.
That's shit. You get yourself some Three Stooges, especially if you got some weed or something. You're having yourself a good time.
Right. Kenishiro Online says favorite John Carpenter movie.
Favorite John Carpenter movie? I don't even know all of John Carpenter's movies. I don't know. Okay. There you go. Big Trouble in Little China from Mr. Riley.
What about The Thing?
People say The Thing. The only one that sticks out for me would be Halloween.
Halloween. Yep.
And what was the other one? Escape from New York. Those are the only ones that really stick out in my brain.
You didn't like Escape from LA? What's wrong with you?
Did he direct that one too? Did he openly admit to directing that?
I wouldn't have either, though.
You know, because I'm pretty sure Steve Buscemi wouldn't even admit he was in that shit. And that guy needs all the work he can get.
I forgot he was in that. He'd rather admit to being in Con Air than Escape from LA.
Well, wouldn't you?
Yes, I would.
Exactly. Kashiro Guy wants to know favorite 50s movies and or shows. Well, then I have to go with I Love Lucy and the unofficial I Love Lucy movie, the long trailer.
When did the fucking Twilight Zone come out? Was that in the 50s?
That was in the 60s. That was early 60s.
Okay, well, yeah, I like the Twilight Zone. That movie scared the shit out of me. I'm going to go off on the side, but just a side story about the Twilight Zone movie.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen
the Twilight
right?
Zone movie. Oh boy. Okay.
The movie. Okay.
One of my favorite directors, Joe Dante, worked on that film.
Yeah. It's not talking about scene. And Con Air is not awesome, Reaper's Shadow. It's not. Quit fooling yourself. I watched that. It was on. Remember back in the day, we couldn't just, there's a thing starting. Let's see what it is. You know, we couldn't just hit info on the TV remote and it would say what we were watching. We had to wait to see what it was. So the movie opens with two guys on a road trip in the fucking middle of the desert at night. Dan Aykroyd and who's the other guy? You remember?
That was Albert Brooks.
Okay, Dan Aykroyd and Albert Brooks. Albert Brooks is driving. Mm-hmm. They're telling stories, whatever. Dan Aykroyd goes, "You want to see something cool? Pull over." So Brooks pulls over, fucking Dan Aykroyd turns and he fucking does something, and when he turns back, he's fucking werewolf or monster or whatever. Mm-hmm. That scared the fucking shit out of me. My light just turned off. My light just turned off too.
It did. See, that was some scary shit. How'd you do that?
How did you do that? Out of me. Woo! Mind control. That scared the shit out of me. To the point where I was probably 7 years old when I saw that. When I saw it, I immediately switched it. It was like midnight on a Friday. You know, I was fucking probably 8 years old because it was on HBO. So I did not watch that movie until probably 98, 99.
It was pretty old by then.
Yeah. Same thing with Thriller. My mother took me to a movie theater to see Fantasia when it was re-released in '84. Mm-hmm. And the movie theater thought it would be a great idea to show fucking Thriller in front of Fantasia.
Yeah, Michael Jackson, right?
Me and every other 4, 3 to 6 year old in the theater ran out to the goddamn lobby when Michael Jackson fucking told the chick to get away when he was turning into the wolf. And I didn't watch that shit until I was in high school.
Well,
I could not watch it. I couldn't watch it.
Yeah, I must say that Michael Jackson's Ghost is far more palatable.
Just as black too, I think.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I just thought I'd throw that out there. It's interesting. I want to tell a story. I got this idea. I want to tell a story. It's funny you brought up the Twilight Zone movie, because in the Twilight Zone movie, the very end segment, which is, and if you haven't seen the Twilight Zone movie, it's an interesting time. It's a bit uneven, and that's the idea. So
it's on Netflix, I think.
I think it is on Netflix. I think I might watch it tonight, actually. But there's the very end segment, which is Terror at 30,000 feet, and stars John Lithgow. You folks might know John Lithgow from the starring role in Third Rock from the Sun,
or Shrek,
or Shrek. He was the voice of Lord Farquaad.
I know him best from the Hendersons. But that's just me.
That's true. That's a good one. I know him best. My earliest instances is watching chick flicks with my mom back in the 80s. He was in Terms of Endearment.
Yeah, he was in This Is 40 also.
Yeah. Oh, was he?
Yeah, he was. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't.
He's Leslie Mann's dad.
Oh, okay. Well,
Albert Brooks plays Paul Rudd's dad. It's really good. You should watch it.
Okay, well, I'll keep that in mind. But he was in Terror at 30,000 feet. Now, interestingly enough, this was a remake of one of the episodes of the Twilight Zone called Terror at 20,000 feet, which starred William Shatner. And it had to do with a man, because it really had to do with, you had to have grown up around the time of the 1940s and 1950s or if you just had to have seen Gremlins. In fact, I take that back. This movie predates Gremlins. So it didn't work out the same way.
I don't think so.
Gremlins was 84.
When did Twilight Zone 83. Was it really? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I stand corrected.
Yeah. And so it just barely predates it.
Just barely, yeah.
But the book had already been out and all that stuff. Anyway, but there was talk about what happened in the 1940s and why a lot of American planes during World War II mysteriously went down and were never found again. Some of them were found, in the Bermuda Triangle and so forth. But that's another story for another time. But there was talk, and that's where the Bermuda Triangle myth came out of, the idea that there were gremlins, mysterious Japanese creatures. They later became Chinese creatures, and then when we hated Russians, I think they became Russian creatures. But anyway, these things that just destroy electronics, and that's why planes fell out of the sky. Anyway, John Lithgow plays this terrified man who's terrified of flying, and eventually it's discovered that there's a thing on the wing of the plane that's destroying the plane and going to make the plane crash, blah, blah, blah. I won't ruin the end for you. But then, and I saw that movie, then years later, watching an episode of Third Rock from the Sun, William Shatner plays the leader of their alien crew, the big giant head. And apparently he became a little erratic during his flight to meet the rest of the crew. William Shatner, this is. And John Lithgow goes to meet him. I know this is very confusing, but for those of you who've seen this, it was hilarious. And apparently he was a little erratic during the flight. And he says, yes, and I discovered this wonderful thing called alcohol. And everyone laughs. And he says, it's funny. When I was flying, I could swear there was a man on the wing of the plane. And John Lithgow says, that happened to me too. It's really funny if you had seen both of those.
Yeah, see?
You brought the whole thing together. And I've totally over-explained it, but I'm sure somebody found that funny. And who's talking about Night of the Living Dead 1990? Knock that shit off.
Well, Power Metal Gamer asked best horror remake. So that was somebody's answer. I think the Dawn of the Dead remake from 10 years ago, the one with Ving Rhames, that was pretty good.
10 years ago, was that? I thought that was longer ago than that.
No, 2003 maybe. Anyway,
Soul says that there was a remake of The Man They Could Not Hang. I've never heard of that.
I didn't know.
An old Boris Karloff movie. It's very satanic. That's why I like it.
The Halloween, Rob Zombie's Halloween, which I don't consider a remake, was pretty. I enjoyed it. It was more of a reimagining. It kind of showed gave of a backstory on Michael Myers, which is what I liked. Say what you want. I mean, it's typical Rob Zombie movie, but I enjoyed it.
All of Rob Zombie's movies seem to be movies that would be played in the drive-through or the drive-in movie during Dazed and Confused.
I think that's the point. I think that's the point. I think he loves the old B fucking horror movies, and I think that he's just trying to take what he loves and show a younger generation. Because I've seen a lot of those movies. I'm sure you have. Not everybody has. Uh-huh. So, House of a Thousand Corpses and The Devil's Rejects had the same feel, and I think that was intended.
Well, I don't believe that. I feel that House of a Thousand Corpses was a bunch of garbage, and The Devil's Rejects, on the other hand, was an actual film. Mm-hmm. Because there was actual contrast, and the whole thing with you ended up sympathizing with the characters and so on, that whole thing. So, but we're getting off topic talking about the remake of Halloween. But I saw it and I didn't care for it.
It's not Halloween, and the Thing remake was terrible. I'm not a big fan of any kind of remakes. The fucking they remade Point Break. What the fuck? Yeah, the trailer came out a couple days ago. It is the fucking dumbest shit ever.
They already made Point Break. They just did it with cars and called it Fast and Furious.
It's true. I'm just not a big fan. I thought that, I love the Halloween movies, and I thought, I'm the kind of guy that, people, there's a movie and it's, I'll see it, maybe I'll see it. There's only a few people that I trust that that I trust their opinion. If they say, "Oh, this movie's good, you should check it out," or "This movie's not good, you should not see it." But I like to form my own opinion. So going into Halloween, I was just like,
money.
Huh?
It's a good way to waste a lot of money.
What's that?
Just going to see it for yourself. I'm teasing. Go on.
Okay. So going into the movie, I didn't have high expectations. I just thought, okay, it's gonna be a Rob Zombie flick, but it's gonna have the story, and it was good. It was better than I expected it to be. So it's not like if it's on TV and I'm not doing anything and I've had a couple drinks, I'll watch it, but I'm not gonna. I don't own it. I own a lot of movies. That's not one of them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's definitely not the worst. The worst horror remake I ever saw was the shot-for-shot remake of Psycho with Vince Vaughn and Anne Heche.
Oh, the one with Vince Vaughn? Yeah.
Yeah. And
the Day the Earth Stood Still was pretty bad, too.
Which one?
The remake.
There's more than one. Which one are you talking about?
The most recent one.
Oh.
From like a few years ago. It was not good.
Who was in that?
I fucking don't care.
Okay,
I forgot.
Well, you're the one raising the goddamn point, but anyway.
Well, I'm just saying. Hold on, I'll tell you right now.
Okay, please do. Let's shift gears off of this really quick because I feel like all the people who want us to talk about video games are just screaming and they want us to. Nicholas Kennedy asked, I want to discuss this actually because I was trying to mill this over my brain to give a real quick, just one-shot answer and I couldn't do it. Favorite video game accessory? I assume he means stuff at home, which is nice. And there's just a large list of accessories. But I think the one that always has done the most for me was the good old-fashioned NES Zapper. I happen to thoroughly enjoy that. Yeah, I think I'm going to stand on that. Mr. Riley, do you have any feelings? I mean, because I'd like to mill that over a little bit, but your feelings?
The Power Glove.
The Power Glove. Oh,
it's so bad.
The Wiimote version 1.0.
Pretty much. A fake gaming accessory, not the Zapper. Because I don't want to just. Well, I agree.
Well, I know you're not going to say the Menacer or the Super Scope 6. Nobody liked those.
God damn it! I was going to say the Super Scope.
Well, you wouldn't say that, and you wouldn't mean it because it wasn't really that great.
What about? Fuck. Well, I don't know. The NES Advantage was cool.
Agreed.
Because it was a joystick. The Super Advantage was cool to play Street Fighter on until you realize. Well, the concept of the Super Advantage was cool until you realized that there was 2 buttons on top and 4 on the fucking bottom. Which never fucking. You know what? Technically, it's an accessory. It started out as an accessory. So how about the 6-button Genesis controllers?
The 6-button Genesis controller or the 6-button Genesis arcade stick?
No, the controller.
Okay.
Because that arcade stick, the fucking stick was never responsive.
I wouldn't say it's not responsive, but it's such a short throw that it just ends up wearing out right here. It wears on you right here.
Yep.
And because
the Super Advantage does the same thing. Super Advantage is just a little bit taller, but it's still fucking uncomfortable.
Well, that's the funny thing, because they may have been made by the same people, but the Super Advantage was a third-party accessory, whereas the arcade stick for the Genesis was official Sega. But you're right; they did have a very similar throw.
The Super Advantage was made by ASCIIware, right?
They were.
You know what? You know what? They're the ASCII controller too for the Super Nintendo. The one that had buttons like a Famicom, like a Super Famicom remote that had like the switches for turbo on all the buttons. I really liked that. It was almost the same, but it was a little fatter. It actually was a little more comfortable to hold. I have kind of dainty hands and long fingers, so holding controls, like I fucking hate the NES controller. It fucking hurts. And then playing Street Fighter 2 on the Super Nintendo was never comfortable. I used to have blisters on this fucking thumb all the time. So as I remember, I think I have one in there. I just haven't used it for a while. The ASCIIware controller, the corners on the D-pad were a little rounded off. They weren't quite as sharp as the first party SNES controllers. Mm-hmm. So I really like that. I never really used the turbo features unless I was playing like Super R-Type or Gradius 3 or anything like that. So I didn't play any games where you needed it. I mean, what turbo if you're playing Final Fantasy 3?
Good point.
Yeah.
I'd say one that always sticks out in my brain, and I once stumbled across. I had to go do some tech work at somebody's house. I had to fix something, part of an old job I used to have, and I went to their house, and somebody had an Atari 5200, the dustiest goddamn 200 Atari I'd ever seen in my life. But this person, I won't name names. I won't say who it was, but he will say his name was Ted because, well, that's his name. And Ted had the Atari 5200 trackball, which was as big as the console, and I got to lift it. And this was a serious piece of machinery, not like the trackball for the 2600. This was a serious device. Yeah. And I said, how could you? This would cut off the circulation in your lap if you put it on your legs. Yeah. So it was just absolutely astounding, and I didn't get to work with it, so I can't really comment on how it plays games. But I was just an absolute megalith of a structure, just this huge device that has a ball this fucking big on it. Mm-hmm. And it was just absolutely stunning. So that's one of my favorite accessories, just for the sheer mass of the device. So that's something that I really find very interesting.
Oh, going back a little bit.
Uh-huh.
There Stood Still. It came out in 2008. Keanu Reeves and Jennifer Connelly. That's why I hated the movie so much. Will Smith's shitty kid was in it.
Oh, the kid who keeps wearing dresses and getting press attention for it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why he's getting attention for wearing dresses. Jamie Farr did that shit fucking 40 years ago, and no one's giving him any credit.
But there was no Twitter back then. He
Well,
wasn't posting it on Twitter.
Yeah, I know. Back then they called it a current affair.
Yeah, see, I saw a clip the other day. Will Smith and his son were on some talk show, and I forget who it was. It might have been Carson Daly. Asked Will about his son and the way he acts on Twitter. He said, "When I was 14, I used to do dumb shit." He didn't say shit. He said, "I dumb," but there was no Facebook, Twitter, or the internet, so I did dumb stuff in private.
No, or you went and did it in front of your friends.
Well, that too, but your friend, see, that's the thing. Your friends then was your circle of friends, and if you thought something was funny, 9 times out of 10 they all did too. So it was okay to act stupid in front of your friends because they had the same shitty sense of humor you did. But now his friends are the internet, and nobody gives a shit.
Well, and you know, sadly for him, and I hate to gossip and talk about that sort of thing, but just like his mother, he's not getting over. There's more to being a celebrity, more to being important than just being vaguely related to Will Smith.
It's true. Hold on one second. I'm gonna turn this light back on.
All right, go ahead. You know, and that's my feelings, but we had some other questions, and I lost them because, as I said, this thing moves really quickly. So I guess I had to fix some old broad's plumbing. That happens sometimes. Let me see here. What's my favorite color? My favorite color, what is my favorite color called? My favorite color is chartreuse. It's a very pale green. I wish I had an example of chartreuse like this. Like that sort of color. I know that to you that looks like a yellow, but it's like a yellow. Yeah, I know because it's washed out. But remember the picture of the mutagen from The Secret of the Ooze? That's my favorite color in green. It's just a fantastic shade.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and that's chartreuse.
Hey, who asked that? Who asked that?
What's that?
Did somebody ask that?
My favorite color?
Yeah.
Yes, and I don't remember who off the top of my head.
I was going to say, somebody asked what
Schnozzy Schnozborn wanted to know what my favorite color was. My favorite color is chartreuse.
Thank you, Schnozzy. My favorite
color
is orange.
Do you have a favorite color there, Mr. Riley?
It's orange, the same color as my pubes.
Oh, that's adorable. Apparently the people outside didn't care for your pubes, so they honked at them.
There's a fucking train. You know where I live. There's fucking trains all over this goddamn place.
That's right. Yes, you're currently boarding the 8-bit choo-choo, and we thank you.
Yes, I'm gonna throw a link in the chat. Okay. This is chartreuse. Google. What the fuck?
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that, Mr. Riley. Power Metal Gamer wants to know what game I'm playing at the moment. I am trying my hardest to plow through Lego City Undercover because the load times are ridiculous on that game, but having a good time doing it. It's just a whole bunch of sitting and waiting and that sort of thing. Great game. If you're not familiar with the Lego City Undercover on the Wii U, you're missing out, and I'm sure it's pretty cheap by now. If you like Grand Theft Auto and if you like color, 2 great things, I assure you. Then go check out Lego City Undercover by TT Fusion Games. I recommend it very highly. That one, and I'm also working on, I stumbled across, that's something I want to talk about, actually. I've spent a considerable amount of time on the 8-Bit Podcast and elsewhere, bad-mouthing the mobile segment, bad-mouthing the mobile platform for games. Because I've never found any games that have ever truly made the mobile devices shine. And I did just that earlier this week. I stumbled across the Pinball Arcade for iPad. And it's something that struck me as interesting because that's exactly what an iPad looks like. It looks like a big slab of glass, like, you know, the top of a pinball table, and it actually works out very well. It's free, so check it out in the App Store if you got yourself an Apple iPad. It's also available on Android, so check it out if you got yourself an Asus Transformer or whatever their devices are.
This won't work.
Check that out. I beg your pardon?
It won't work on this.
I don't know. Which one do you have there?
It's a shitty Android phone.
No, it will. It will, absolutely. Just check it out. It's in the Google Play Arcade, so go ahead and check that one out. I recommend that very highly. And then one that was, I think this is exclusive to the iPhone, but I found, which was called, and pretty popular app, got really popular very quickly, called Lifeline. And Lifeline is, it's very much a game, but more so, the way I've tried to explain it to people is, if you're familiar with the old Choose Your Own Adventure books from when we were kids, I like to call it neoclassical interactive fiction. And I won't spoil it for you, but check it out. It's really cheap on the App Store, and it's a really interesting time. If you can remember, if you're into interactive fiction, it's really neat. I don't want to compare it to, like, 9 Persons, 9 Hours, 9 Doors, or those type of visual novels, but it's very much interactive fiction, and it's really cool, and I recommend that very highly. And which is important to me, because you guys don't hear this shit, but Mrs. Yellkaos, who has to fucking live here, has to hear my bullshit every single night about these goddamn mobile games. They're not real games, and they're just fucking time wasters. And I finally found something that made these platforms shine, and that's why I want to really, get. And it's really the best way. You can take pinball games with you, and I think that's super cool. So check that out: the Pinball Arcade on mobile, and Lifeline on, I think it's just an Apple thing, just on the iOS App Store right now, but I'm sure that will change, because I understand it's gaining traction and gaining it quickly. So those 3 things I've been working on a lot. And on my 3DS, I've been working on not a lot, actually, because I've been occupied with those other games. Mr. Riley, are you working on anything right now?
I was playing Zelda a little bit last week.
Which one?
The first one.
Okay, that's good.
On the NES, just because I just got it recently. I got it at SC3. I didn't have it, and I got it, and it needed a new battery, so I just got the battery swapped out. So I was playing it. I haven't played it in probably over 20 years.
Really?
Yeah. Just I had it when I had, with the previous collection I had, and I played it a little bit, but I didn't really sit down and start to play it. And then I've been playing Street Fighter 2 on my modded Xbox, just when I just want to turn my brain off. I'll just fire up the MAME and play some Street Fighter 2 for 20, 30 minutes or whatever. I really don't have time anymore, even for DS stuff, so I'm just busy. Got a lot of shit going on.
Well, yeah, I mean, real life does get in the way, and that's something that you don't want to say out loud, but the fact remains that as you get older, and it's different for me, because I don't have Janine and I don't have any children, so it's a different story for us. But life kind of, you have to do some shit sometimes, and that's just what it is. But you try and play the games. But I find that funny, because for me, I pop in the original Zelda. Got a couple at least I try and do it like once every year, just go through it. But I've got it so memorized that I feel like I play through it every day, just because I've seen it so many times.
I do the same with A Link to the Past. I'll be bored, and I'll just go, I'm gonna run through this weekend, and I'll just run through it in a couple of days, and then I'm done. I'm over with it. I'm done with it. But I haven't done that in probably 2 years, because the last time I played, it was just like this. Okay, it's not a challenge anymore. I'm just playing a game. It's a great game. It's still a great game, but I just don't do it anymore because it's kind of redundant. Because I'm not really. I mean, I'll play Tetris all the time. I'll fucking throw Tetris in whenever, but that's just a time waster.
Well, I understand that, because I'm the same way. I'm pretty sure I have a Tetris game on almost every platform I own. At least I make it a rule to try and find one.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's that, and that's what's always tough for me, because of having the married life schedule and all that sort of stuff. It is tougher to sit down with a game that is going to soak up a few hours of your time, because sometimes the wife will come in and she's got hot mashed potatoes or something. It's like, oh, fuck this. There's mashed potatoes to be had.
As stoked as I am, like I said it earlier, to see what Square Enix is doing with Final Fantasy 15, I'm not going to get it. I can't play a 100-hour fucking RPG anymore. I can't do it.
And that's interesting you bring that up, because I get a lot of people, and I love these people. I appreciate these people who think I'm so important that they want to ask me these things. But what do you think about Xenoblade Chronicles 3D, and what do you think about Xenoblade Chronicles X? And I think I will not have any fucking time to play these things.
No,
they just look absolutely massive. Beautiful. And it's I remember years ago.
But
okay, I remember years ago there was the talk of cybernetic humans, people that wanted to have computers that they carry on their person at all times.
Yeah,
like the what's now called Google Glass, I would imagine, or and having like a screen and constantly playing a computer game while they're out and about. That is the kind of
Borg.
Like
the Borg.
Sort
of the Borg and yeah,
sort of. And I feel like that's the kind of device that's going to be required for me to do that. It's something that's going to have to be on my face, like the Tiger R Zone. It's going to have to be on my face, and I need to be able to play it while I'm doing the dishes, while I'm mowing the lawn, while I'm doing all that shit. Because, these games require both of my hands, and I have other shit to do. And that would be cool. And that's one thing that I hope that mobile can really, make it seem. Or I should make it seem. But make that possible. And I think that's also, speaking of which, talking about Nintendo with their quality of life platform, that's really what I envision that to be, a way that you can constantly play video games all day. Because let's face it, your life sucks. Yeah. You got to mow the yard, you got to clean the house, you got to pick up the dog shit. There's got to be a way to make sure that you're playing video games and forgetting life all the time, because no one else cares about you, especially your fucking government. But we can talk about that some other time.
That's a topic for another show.
That is a total topic for another show. And we're getting towards the end of the program. So I want to recommend everybody who hasn't already, check out the information down below where you can find myself and Mr. Riley on the Facebook, on the Twitter, and give us a sub if you haven't already. Appreciate it. And, we do these all the time, so we hope to see more of you. And we hope you see more of us. And also, don't forget, we got Pissing in the Live stream, the 8-Bit Podcast Live, coming up on June the 5th. That's the first Friday of next month, so we hope to see you there. And also, don't forget about the 8-Bit Podcast E3 Damage Report. And also, don't forget about the 8-Bit Choo Choo, now pulling past Mr. Riley's house.
It's over there.
It's over there?
It's over there. He's telling me to get all aboard. And look, I even, my shirt says Express.
Oh,
it's fucking strange shirt. God damn it.
All aboard the 8-Bit Express. So
so meta tonight.
Exactly. It's fantastic. Absolutely. So anyway, we're gonna take a few more questions, and then we're gonna get out of your hair. And once again, we appreciate you guys coming out, as you do every single time, and we hope you guys had a nice time. Let me see here. Talk about 3 things, and Power Metal Gamer gave me a Facebook like. Thank you very much, and hopefully you get nice and entertained, because this is for you guys.
What about me? I have a Facebook page too.
Okay, everyone also check out PlayStation over there, and there'll be a link down below, so please check it out.
I will say this: you can troll my page if you want. You'll just get blocked.
Well, yeah, there's that. But so I forgot what I was going to say. Actually,
I don't engage trolls.
Well, you shouldn't. You shouldn't. It's not healthy.
I don't.
It's really not healthy. I completely lost my train of thought. I was about to go on something.
Sorry.
And that's all right. It's not your fault. That's not your fault. I really forgot what I was going to tell you guys. Oh yeah, they say that we're the 8-Bit Podcast is not a supreme podcast. I disagree. We have our own train.
Right.
So
who else has their own train?
What other podcast on Podbean or any other podcast outlet has their own train?
We didn't say plane. Podcast. We did not say plane. We said train.
We don't have a plane yet. As soon as we have, I'll never get on that plane anyway. We'll use it to go to the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, and we'll shit all over everybody.
We're going to go to CGE.
We'd be all styling and profiling in our private jet. That's what it would be like. No, Classic Gaming Expo, Las Vegas in the summertime. Kiss my dick, son.
Fuck that. I'm done with that shit. I'm glad they need to blow up the Riviera already.
Well, yeah, it's coming. It's coming. Believe me. Right. It's so funny because in the western states we're in a drought. In the middle states they're having floods.
Right.
So it's like, we need to work out an exchange or something. But what I really don't want, because I'm sick and tired of people from Texas coming to live in California. I just thought I'd say that. I'm sick and fucking. You fucking assholes have your hipstery bullshit Austin. Live there.
Stay there.
Stay there.
We don't want you.
We don't want you, and you're taking all of my goddamn water. That's why I get pissed off. Every time I watch the TV, I see that commercial for come visit California. No, don't visit California.
Don't.
Stay home and enjoy your water. Leave my fucking beaches alone. God damn it. But that's more California. That's the internet talking all kinds of.
Okay, Kishoro guy, what are some of your favorite niche GBC or GB games? I don't know.
You answered a question that you don't know.
I'm waiting for questions. That's the first question I've seen in like 5 minutes.
Yelling at each other. They're not used to having this much chaos.
You know, then I'm not answering that question.
Well, you don't have to. And my favorite GBA game is either Advance Wars or Mario Pinball Land.
Metroid Fusion Zero Mission.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good
one.
I had that one out. I was playing that on my Nintendo DS Lite, which is the best way to play your Game Boy Advance games because there's a fucking headphone out.
Right.
How they
you can get
that I don't know.
You can get headphone support on an Advance. You just have to buy it.
No, I have one and it sucks.
I know it does. It's terrible.
It's not very good. It's a far better experience on the Nintendo
off.
DS Lite. Yeah, exactly.
Turn the sound off. Yeah.
And someone's bringing up Kid Icarus of Myths and Monsters, the sequel to the first Kid Icarus. That was on the original Game Boy. That was not a Game Boy Color game. So
you know what? The first couple of Castlevania games on the Game Boy were pretty good. What was it? Castlevania Adventure and whatever the fuck the other one was. But Adventure has really good music.
If I remember correctly, it did, especially for being on the original Game Boy. And don't get me wrong, the sound chip on the original Game Boy was no slouch. Definitely, definitely a contender. Absolutely. But who's excited for the new Godzilla game? Nobody. Nobody is excited for a new Godzilla game.
No.
The same people that were excited for the Godzilla movie, for better or for worse.
Let them fight.
But anyway. I want to get a few more questions and then we'll get out of you guys' hair. Again, we thank you for dropping in and, not usually getting this much chaos, almost 2 hours. Well, actually I take that back. We came on late. So like an hour and a half, but
that's my fault.
That's quite a bit of Yellkaos and Sean Riley for your Friday night. So, and also
it's a lot of Sean Riley for your Friday night.
No kidding. And something I want to recommend. Should we take this time to plug the SC3 thing?
Might as well.
Well,
might as well.
Yeah, well, if you guys don't, I want to plug this group. Mr. Riley and myself, we're a member of the SC3 Southern California Collectors Classic out of on Facebook. So check that out if you want to see hang out with some good people and talk about some retro games. Feel free. We're in there quite a bit, so I want to plug that on there. And also check out the Hate Bit Podcast Network of Hate because there's lots of hate on there, and there's just not nearly enough hate in your everyday lives. But anyway.
I just want to, in regards to that group, I love the three guys that are always the ones that post in there, but join the group, and if you're already a member, post some shit up. I want to see more shit. I sit at a desk all day, and my boss's office is directly behind me at work, so I can't really peruse the internet like I would like to. So if you see something cool and you think that we would like to see that, post it up in the group.
And that's great, and we hope we do, because these things don't work out if there's no cooperation. Anyway, folks, I think that's it. That's all the time we have. That's our time right here on the program. We thank you for joining us. I hope you guys had a great time. I want to remind you, don't forget, check out all the information down below to get a hold of myself and PlayStation on the Twitter, on the Facebook, all that good stuff. And also, don't forget, we got Hate Bit Podcast Live coming up June the 5th, and then also E3 and the E3 Damage Report coming shortly thereafter.
So excited.
I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I want to thank my very good friend, Mr. Riley. Mr. Riley, give us a plug. Tell everybody where they can find you.
PlayStation, I just threw it in the chat just so everybody knows how to spell it. PlayStation on Twitter, PlayStation on Instagram, but I don't use it, so if you follow me, you won't fucking see anything. PlayStation.com will be live probably in the next couple of days. I just got to get a few things wrapped up with that. Search PlayStation on Facebook and like my page. And that's it. And PlayStation on YouTube. I mean, it's not hard. If you can spell it, Google it. Yeah, you'll find stuff.
There you go. And I want to thank everyone for joining us. We hope you had a great time. Hopefully it was a halfway decent show and met your expectations. So I want to remind you that you guys are great. My name is Yellkaos. You guys take care of yourselves and take care of each other. I want to wish you happy painting, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.